Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's all about knowledge acceleration, really. We've got this fantastic source, a highly curated weekly technical newsletter. It's kind of a massive shortcut across the whole cloud and dev landscape. And we're here to basically pull out the signal from the noise for you. And we're not reading the whole thing, obviously. We're going through 8 key areas, 8 distinct, pretty complex technical focus areas, everything from Azure architecture, M365 identity, all the way down to AI standards and what the competition's up to. Our goal is simple. Find the 1 or 2 critical nuggets you can actually use this week. What technical news really needs your attention right now?
Yeah, and what's fascinating this week, I think, is you can really see the shift towards maturity. We're seeing progress across the board, foundational cloud stuff, identity governance, and these evolving standards for AI agents working together. It feels like things are solidifying,
Yeah.
which really requires a focused look to see how all these different pieces connect.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with Azure. Beyond the usual updates video, there seem to be 2 big strategic things jumping out. Cost optimization, obviously, but also this really deep integration of AI right into the cloud's foundations. So on the cost side, the analysis really hammers home the importance of understanding shared capacity reservations. Why does this matter for you if you're managing cloud resources? It's not just about saving a few bucks, is it?
No, not at all. Shared capacity reservations are, well, they're crucial. They let you lock down resource availability. That's key. And manage costs efficiently, too, especially if you're dealing with, say, unpredictable demand spikes or you absolutely need resources in one specific region.
Right.
So if you're getting hit with unexpected cost jumps or finding resources aren't available when you need them, capacity planning, that's your homework this week. Seriously.
Good advice. And then linking that capacity management directly to the future. That infrastructure is getting smarter, fast. We see this connection being made between the Azure AI Foundry agent and the M365 agent's SDK. What's that about?
Yeah. This is where we need to talk architecture a bit. This link, letting agents built on, 2 totally different platforms actually work together. It's possible because of something called A2A. That's the agent-to-agent protocol.
A2A protocol.
And that's not a small thing. It's a pretty significant development.
Okay, so why does A2A matter to, the listener? What does it actually unlock for them?
Well, it tackles the core problem with having lots of different AI agents, getting them to talk to each other, interoperability. Think about trying to get, an app built by one team using one framework to just seamlessly talk to another team's app built totally differently. It's hard.
Right, the classic integration headache.
Exactly. A2A is specifically designed so AI agents can interact, collaborate smoothly, no matter who built them or what platform they're on. It's kind of like the common language needed for these future complex cross-platform AI workflows.
Got it. Okay, let's switch gears slightly to Microsoft 365, but stick with Foundations for a moment. This area looks like it's getting serious about security hardening and also Copilot maturity. Let's talk identity first, though, because this sounds like a massive, really foundational change. Changing the user source of authority from AD to Entra ID.
Yeah, that is arguably the most critical shift we saw highlighted this week. For anyone in IT leadership, listen up. This isn't just a name change. It's the move to a modern cloud-native identity core. Entra ID is absolutely central to strategic identity governance now. It gives you much finer control over access, a stronger security posture across the whole Microsoft ecosystem, which is vital, especially as Copilot gets rolled out everywhere.
Makes sense. And speaking of Copilot, it seems like it's moving beyond just helping users write emails, right? It's getting into the hands of administrators, too.
Definitely. We're seeing really powerful new tools for admins with Copilot and Microsoft Intune. This lets administrators manage and secure devices more effectively, basically using AI to help with complex tasks.
Like what kinds of tasks?
Oh, things like drafting tricky policy statements or maybe diagnosing device issues much faster, stuff that used to take ages. And an immediate action item for folks. The Intune settings catalog is now making modern Android policy way easier to implement.
Oh, good tip.
Yeah, if you've got Android devices in your fleet, this really cuts down the complexity. Worth checking out.
And what about Copilot in M365 itself?
Yeah.
You mentioned maturity. The source highlights that Microsoft 365 Copilot now enables you to build apps and workflows. That sounds like a big step.
It is a strategic leap. It's moving from just being a productivity assistant, helping you write stuff, to being more like a low-code application development partner.
Okay.
It can understand the context well enough now to actually generate working automate flows or even simple Power Apps that dramatically speeds up going from an idea to a working app.
Okay, so if Copilot is building apps, inside M365. That leads us perfectly into the Power Platform itself, right? Ground zero for rapid development, data viz. What's standing out for the makers this week? Looks like a lot on the visual side for Power BI.
Yeah, for data analysts especially, the focus seems to be enhancing how data is presented. We've got the upcoming general availability, GA, of the new card visual. That's for better data storytelling. And the introduction of the Power BI controller preview, too.
Right, these might sound like small updates, incremental changes, but if you're presenting data day in, day out, better visuals are everything. They really matter. But the real force multiplier here, I think, for the whole maker community is AI. The Power BI app Copilot preview just reinforces this idea that AI isn't just for asking questions of your data anymore. It's becoming central to the entire process, the data analysis, the app creation lifecycle, all of it. And the fact that they're really pushing makers and innovation at the Power Platform Community Conference 2025, well, that confirms the strategy. It's all about empowering citizen developers with these powerful AI-assisted tools. But is there a risk here? Is the platform maybe leaving the more seasoned technical developers behind by focusing so much on low-code and citizen devs?
That's a fair question, but I don't think so. Not really. The platform has to serve both, right? It needs to be dual purpose. The source actually mentions a video digging into Power Apps, YAML snippets, tips and tricks, pretty technical stuff.
Ah, okay. YAML.
Exactly. That shows they're still committed to pro developers, giving them structured tools, things you can version control, tools that run alongside the drag and drop experience for citizen devs. You absolutely need both if you want to scale applications across a large enterprise.
All right, let's move into core development tools and operations. DevOps, SRE territory. We're seeing news aimed at making the traditional developer's life a bit easier. Updates like XML Live Preview for faster UI work, and also the big takeaways from GitHub Universe, captured in a VS Code Live video. Standard stuff, be useful.
Yeah, but this is where we hit a really interesting point of tension, right at that intersection of, developer speed versus operational reliability. The source includes this really thought-provoking piece. The title alone is great. Good from afar, but far from good. AI prototyping in real design contexts.
Yeah, that's a catchy title.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So, okay, if generative AI like Copilot is great for banging out prototypes quickly, generating boilerplate code, how do SRE teams, the folks focused on reliability, how do they square that with this critique? Is the source saying, like, don't use it?
It's not saying don't use it, but it's definitely raising a critical question about maturity. The critique basically suggests that, generative AI is super useful for fast prototyping, exploring different architectural ideas. But the code it spits out, it might not yet meet the really high standards needed for serious production-ready systems.
So quick, but maybe not robust.
Exactly. It might be quick, but is it reliable? Is it scalable? Is it maintainable? Those are the SRE questions.
And that distinction is absolutely crucial when you think about what disciplines like DevOps and especially SRE, site reliability engineering, are fundamentally trying to achieve.
Precisely. Those fields exist to make sure systems are reliable, scalable, efficient. That's the whole point. So if these rapid AI-driven prototyping shortcuts lead to code that's brittle, or maybe uses poorly optimized architectures, or even introduces obscure security flaws, well, that directly clashes with the high standards that modern SRE practices demand. It's a necessary reality check, isn't it? Speed is kind of useless if the whole system falls over when you actually put load on it. This whole AI maturation thing, it's not just about building faster, it's got to be about building right.
Speaking of building right, this next section gives us a really deep architectural look under the hood. It's about how Microsoft is actually structuring its next-gen AI environments, trying to bake in that reliability and governance from the start. We need to talk about Microsoft's composable AI reference architecture, Kara, C-A-I-R-A.
Okay.
And this isn't like a single product you buy, right? Kara is defined as an open source infrastructure as code, IEC, framework.
Right, and the purpose of Kara is absolutely strategic. It provides a standardized, secure, scalable, and importantly, observable baseline. A baseline for deploying basically any AI environment on Azure.
Okay.
And if we connect this back to that SRE discussion we just had, Kara is essentially the answer to how do you maintain consistency and auditability when you're dealing with these incredibly complex, large AI models. It helps solve that building right problem, but at scale.
And what runs on that infrastructure? On the cutting edge of what it supports.
Well, we also see the introduction of Agent Lightning. That's Microsoft's new RL-based AI agent framework.
RL-based reinforcement learning.
Exactly. This is a key piece of new infrastructure specifically designed for those really sophisticated AI agents that learn through reinforcement learning. The kind of complex agents that will likely rely heavily on that A2A protocol we talked about earlier for coordination.
Okay, so we've got the architectural blueprint with the IRA and the framework for the smart agents themselves with Agent Lightning. What about the people, the practitioners who actually need to use all this stuff day to day?
Yeah, good point. For those folks on the ground, there are some valuable resources highlighted, like an Ask Me Anything AMA session that focused specifically on data engineering in Microsoft Fabric, practical insights there, and also the release of the Microsoft Fabric extension for VS Code, and it open source.
Bringing Fabric tools into VS Code. Developers will like that.
For sure. It shows they're committed to making these powerful data science tools accessible right within the IDE developers already use. Should speed up daily workflows.
And kind of anchoring all this new tech power, there's the human element again. The source mentions resources on human-centered AI and also a detailed guide on fine-tuning language models.
Yeah, that just confirms that even with these super advanced architectures like CIRI, you have to think about the ethical guardrails.
Yeah.
And the human impact. Right from the start, you can't really fine-tune these models effectively if you don't understand how they'll interact with actual users and the potential consequences.
Okay, that leads nicely into security. The security news this week seems focused on providing the tools and standards needed to actually protect this new, complex AI landscape. Security teams must be scrambling to get ahead of all the model governance challenges. So on the tools front, what caught my eye was the open source release of Proximity, open source MCP security scanner. Now, this tool is important because it relies on an open standard called MCP, the Model Context Protocol. What is MCP?
Right, we should clarify MCP because it's pretty critical for AI security going forward. When an AI model uses RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where it pulls in external data to ground its response.
Yeah, RG's everywhere now.
Well, the MCP standardizes how the model accesses that external contextual data. It defines the protocol for that interaction. So Proximity, the scanner tool, is designed specifically to scan that contextual data for any security flaws or vulnerabilities before it gets fed to the AI model.
I see. So it's scanning the grounding data itself that prevents the AI from maybe generating responses based on compromised or malicious information. Makes sense. Ensures trust.
Exactly. Crucial for ensuring trust. And then shifting from specific tools to broader industry standards, we see updates to a critical cybersecurity guideline that everyone uses, the MITRE ATT-TCK V18 updates.
Right, ATT and CK. That's the framework for classifying cyber attack techniques.
Yeah, it's foundational. Staying current with these updates is basically mandatory for security pros because V18 captures the latest tactics adversaries are using out there in the wild, particularly tactics targeting cloud and AI infrastructure specifically.
Which all circles back to that governance theme we started with, doesn't it? The source emphasizes the importance of beyond the black box, building trust and governance in the age of AI.
It does. It's a really comprehensive look at why we need oversight for all this powerful tech. We've seen the architectural tools like CRR, the big identity shifts like Entra ID, the security standards like MITRE, ATT, and CK. But true AI maturity means integrating trust mechanisms, compliance, ethical reviews right from the earliest design stages. Governance can't be an afterthought. It has to be built in. So for listeners looking for ways to, deepen their knowledge and maybe get some credentials in these areas, this section points the way. It shows where the market focuses. You've got conceptual learning, like digging into how the model context protocol works, which, as we just discussed, is pretty critical for understanding data flow in modern AI. Then there's the more immediate practical admin learning, stuff like the top 10 Microsoft 365 features every admin must know, always useful baseline knowledge. And finally, high-level certification prep. The example given is the Kubernetes course CKA exam prep.
The CKA.
Certified Kubernetes Administrator exam. That actually connects back really nicely to our earlier chat about SRE and reliability, doesn't it?
It really does. The CKA validates those core skills you need to manage container orchestration platforms like Kubernetes. And those are the systems that are actually running all the complex, scalable applications and AI models we've been talking about.
Right.
So if you're serious about DevOps or SRE, CKA skills are pretty much essential for managing the underlying infrastructure that stuff like Yaria and Agent Lightning gets deployed onto.
Okay, shifting focus one last time. Broader industry market trends. First, we have to acknowledge the reality of hyperscale cloud operations. The source mentions Microsoft hit with Azure and 365 outage. It's just a reminder, isn't it? Even with all the redundancy we assume is built in, service disruption is, well, it's an inevitable possibility.
Absolutely. Organizations have to plan for that proactively, especially if they're heavily reliant on a single major cloud vendor. You need a plan B. And finally, on the competition and innovation front, look at Canva's new creative operating system. That shows the pressure on traditional software suites, right? These low-code, design-first platforms are expanding like crazy.
Yeah, they're turning into these comprehensive, creative, and business operating systems. It's direct competitive pressure, and it's definitely accelerating that whole low-code maker movement we saw in the Power Platform section. Things are moving fast. Hashtag tag outro. So if we try and tie this all together, connect the dots, the big theme this week is definitely this rapid maturation, but also governance is starting to catch up with the pace of innovation. We're seeing the AI infrastructure really solidify with projects like SAIR and Agent Lightning. That's the foundation. But at the same time, the governance and security standards are being enforced through that fundamental identity shift to Entra ID, through proactive security updates like Amateria, ATT&CK V18.
Yeah.
The tools are getting incredibly powerful, yes, but it feels like the guardrails are finally starting to keep pace, which is good news.
Absolutely. Well, we've tried to deliver those high-value takeaways across 8 pretty complex fields. Hopefully, we gave you that knowledge shortcut you were looking for. But before we wrap up, here's a really unexpected kind of out-there industry nugget for you to chew on. The source material references an article titled Quantum Land Grab: How Real-World Quantum Could Fuel Real Estate Investments.
Quantum and real estate, how do those connect?
Exactly. Think about that. You've got this incredibly abstract, bleeding-edge science like QEC, quantum error correction, which is all about stabilizing these super-sensitive qubits. And quantum hardware companies like OQC mentioned in the glossary, somehow intersecting with physical bricks-and-mortar real estate investment.
Huh. Why would that be? Power needs, cooling.
That's the question, right? What are the logistical or maybe the infrastructural demands of these next-gen computing centers? Extreme cooling, massive power draw, maybe hyper-specific physical locations needed for stability or security. Are those demands actually creating totally new opportunities or maybe constraints in the physical world, in the real estate market?
Wow, that's a fascinating ripple effect to think about. From qubits to property deals.
Definitely something to mull over. Go explore. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.